Well, Tommy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Pretty good, yeah. Will, how are you?
Will is either pulling a real stony face,
I
or he's frozen.
think we may have lost Will.
I think we might have done. Have you? Did Michael Verney sway you one way or the other, Tommy?
No,
because you weren't
Verney
listening.
actually
You were producing the show.
Verney backed me up there. Verney backed me up. Will, you're back, are you?
I am, yeah. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Zoom decided to stop and restart and come back, so I think I'm here now.
Yeah, I'd say it could be the energy getting pulled.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the leaderboard to kick things off and just see exactly where we stand with a couple of games left in the championship. So it's Will out in front. He's I think in an uncatchable scenario. We'll see with our picks exactly if that's the case or not. He's got 32.
2 up with 2 to play, Adrian. That's the old golfing analogy here.
Yeah. 2 up with 2 to play, and then myself in second place. Owen then and Tommy, who's going for broke week in, week out. I think in an effort, Tommy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, to just excuse yourself ultimately when it comes to it, you can say, I was chasing the game, so I had to go for it.
Adrian, to be honest, at least I tried. Like, you've actually just handed Will. You've actually, I'm actually disappointed at who you've gone for this week.
Listen, you go out of that. Like, but the thing is, I'm going for my selection, not based. So, as far as I'm concerned, Will could have picked the opposite, right? Like, so you got to go with who you think. You've got to go with your best team until the final game of the season, Tommy. You can't be saying, I'm going to try and double guess him here. It doesn't work.
No, it's not even that. I think you got to believe. You got to be able to believe. It's not necessarily going for the best pick. You got to be able to make the case for a particular county.
For the weaker, the team you think won't win.
Sure, I've failed at times over the last couple of weeks. Sure, I've gone out on a limb at times, like the Leinster final. I shouldn't have done that. That's the only one I regret. The Leinster final is the only pick I regret. And on her.
It was mad stuff.
Don't ever regret going with your own county, Tommy. You have to. Yeah, look, you had to do it. I fully understand why you went with me.
So, just in terms of what we're looking at for this weekend, then I'm reading between the lines, but sure, let's go for it anyway. We'll start. Will, what have you got?
Yeah, I've gone with Limerick, Adrian. No great surprise here. I've been back in Limerick literally all season. I think I've picked them in every game that they've played, and thankfully, they've won every single game that they've played in league and championship, and also won the pre-season competition. So there's the potential this weekend for Limerick to make that little bit of history, which Mick Verney was talking about a few minutes ago, which would be to go on an entirely unbeaten season. They could end the season with 4 trophies as well. And what a remarkable 3 years it would be, given that they won back-to-back leagues and Munsters in that time too. So they've got a chance to write themselves into the history books. I think Limerick this weekend, it all comes down to whether Waterford can get the ball, Adrian, out of their half-back line and through midfield to cause danger with that forward line that they have. Like we saw in the second half, a real coming-of-age performance from Waterford against Kilkenny, but Kilkenny were allowing them to manoeuvre the ball in a way that I don't think Limerick will allow them to do in the All-Ireland final. I think this one will play out with a very similar script to the Munster final from a few weeks back. Probably 4 or 5 points in Limerick's favour, and I'm also heartened by the fact that Aaron Gillette has been back training with Limerick this week, so Limerick should be able to play with their normal system, and pretty much I would say with the 15 that played against Galway in the semi-final. So for me, all kind of things point towards Limerick, despite how well Waterford played against Kilkenny, especially in that second half.
So Will, with the correct answer there, Tommy and Shane, you're both going in the opposite direction here.
Well, to be honest, Adrian, it's absolutely no surprise that Will has picked Limerick, because he has stuck with the favourites pretty much 95% of the time over the last 7 or 8 weeks. Well, have you ever
unsuccessful strategy, Tommy.
Have you ever backed an underdog in your life, pal?
No, I definitely have.
Have you ever dreamed? Have you ever even just, do you watch rom-coms? Come on, man. Do you not believe in luck?
Then we're back in underdogs a lot, Shane, if that's the case. No, look, I've enjoyed some of the underdog stories we've had during the championship. I enjoyed those 2 provincial finals on the same day where Cavan and Tipperary won. But you replay those games 10 or 11 times and the favourites will probably win. So I'm backing with instinct and logic here, Tommy, as opposed to...
Well, don't get sucked in. This is Sheffield United having a go at Liverpool. Don't get sucked into this nonsense. Make your case.
I don't know about that, Adrian, like, I'm not going to bring everyone behind the curtain, but you were struggling over your pick this morning. You didn't know who to go for. You asked me, can I wait? You said, can I wait until I hear Mick Verney to make your decision?
I don't mind. I don't mind admitting that. I think there's a case for Waterford, but most right-thinking people are if your neck is on the block here, you're going for Limerick. What's the case for Waterford? Either of you?
there's so much of a case for Waterford.
On, like
Will started off there with Aaron Gillette. If Aaron Gillette isn't starting this weekend,
so that's to do with Limerick. What? Let's say he doesn't start. What have you got?
Okay. Michael Burney spoke about it there. There is something happening in Waterford. There's a bit of a magic. They were down against Kilkenny at half-time, and I was fully sure they were going to come out and actually put in a performance in that second half. They've got unbelievable speed. They've got Desi Hutchinson inside and Shane Bennett, who's been absolutely flying. Ozzie Gleeson is the X factor. We don't know what way Gleeson's going to play at the weekend, but if he delivers, as he does in the big day, Waterford have an unbelievable chance. Yes, Limerick are Limerick. Kieran Carey said it on the show a couple of weeks ago. They could be on the brink of replicating what Dublin have done in football. When you look across their panel, it's very hard to find a weak spot. I might argue that the full back line may be a bit of a weak spot. Well, I don't know if you'd agree with that, but I think Waterford can get a bit of joy in there. And we were talking to Tommy Welch about it yesterday morning. He was saying Waterford can't be aggressive when they're chasing goals, but they're going to be going for goals. And you know rightly that Liam Cahill and Mikey Beavens are going to have a plan in place here that Waterford aren't going to sit back. They're not going to Limerick get a head of steam up, and they're not going to be 7 or 8 points down at half-time. I can't see them doing what they did to Kilkenny. If they're down at half-time, I think Waterford need a fast start. And if they get that, they absolutely have a chance, 100%.
Adrian, I think the best case you can probably make for Waterford is where they were at going into the second half water break in the Munster final. Now, Limerick have finished the fourth quarter of games so strongly all year, but Waterford were right in that game. They probably needed a goal in the Munster final if they were going to win. In the end, I think Limerick won by 4. It was 25-21 in the end. But you always got that impression that Waterford needed to get a 3-pointer just to try and swing the game in their favour. So as Tommy says, that's exactly what they need at Croke Park on Sunday afternoon. If they get in behind, and like Nicky Quaid is a fantastic goalkeeper, which makes it all the more tricky as well. But if they can get ball into Hutchinson or the Bennetts or Ozzie Gleeson in front of goal, they need to take those chances. And again, we have to see how much space Tadhg de Burka is going to get when he's there as the sweeper / centre half back, because that's the most intriguing battle on the pitch this coming weekend, where Limerick have got such a good half forward line, not just in terms of winning possession for themselves, but denying possession for other teams. And you would assume that, again, like the Munster final, Waterford are probably going to poke the ball short on their own puck out and then try and retain possession. I think Limerick are going to be happy to push up on them. And similarly, at the other end, I think Waterford's forwards are going to put a high press on Limerick on their own puck-outs too. And Limerick's puck-out strategy worked reasonably well inside their own 65 in the semi-final. But they're going to be kind of two fierce battles. And then you've got Jamie Byrne in the middle of the field against that Limerick midfield. It's just such an intriguing contest. And like, I know Tommy is saying that I'm back in an overwhelming favourite here. I don't think Limerick are overwhelming favourites going into Sunday's game. I think you'd have to give them a nod based on the body work they've put together.
What are you doing getting sucked into that?
Well, look, you asked me to make a case for Waterford.
What's your case, Adrian? Come on, give us your Limerick case.
The case for Limerick is very straightforward, and I hinted at it when we were in conversation with Michael Burney. Look, I do believe, like, I don't mind accepting your point, that I'm a little bit more 50-50, particularly in relation to the Galan stuff, but heartened by how well Burney rates the possible replacements in Peter Casey, and both of them might start. But I think the case for Limerick is fairly straightforward. They're like a team that might well go on to dominate. We know about Limerick. And we don't know about Waterford, and we know how good Limerick are, and we know that they could go on to dominate it, and that's why I'm going for them. We got to go on.
There's something happening in Waterford, boys. Look at Young Shakur last night releasing that song. Look at there's a magic happening here, and I'm telling you, 1959 is going to be banished at the weekend. It's going to happen.
I can't see it. It's not going to happen. And unfortunately, Will is going to see this thing out. We are going to do our power rankings of Christmas trees at some point over the next few weeks. And I'm afraid to say, Will, that is not one that you're going to fare that well on.
I kind of like my Christmas tree. What's your issue with my Christmas tree?
It's a bit flashy. It's nice. It looks a bit sparse. Like if you look at Bernie's, there's a bit of a touch about that now.
Is it fake, Will?
No, it's a real tree. No,
okay, well, your bonus points.
It's all lights and no decorations.
Yeah, it probably needs a few more decorations. I think probably more light would show there's decorations on it. I think I might replace the tinsel with a few more baubles at some point over the next few days. But I think there's a good lighting system going there, Adrian. I think you're being a little bit harsh here.
Bernie, if it's a straight shootout between yourself and Bernie, there's only one winner. Will, Tommy, Shane, good stuff. Thanks a million.
That's
our picks for the week ahead.